Sorry I could not make it tonight. I'm probably in the air right now with the not-so-friendly United Airlines. And as you can see, I decided to make my final project a mixed methods research proposal, which looks at the impact of a local program that attempts to empower immigrant students. This was actually a program that I was involved with this past year. It was called the Student Dreamers Alliance, and it's a collaboration between Bridges to a Brighter Future based at Furman University, Carolina High School in Greenville, and the Greenville Hispanic Alliance. And there were 22 students involved in the program this past year. All the students were either immigrants or came from immigrant families. Some are U.S. citizens, some have deferred action or DACA status, and at least one was completely undocumented. So once a month we would take them to Furman to work on leadership skills, like public speaking, academic writing, personal demeanor. However, we also looked at the issue of identity and the idea of self-advocacy related to issues of immigration. And it was a really powerful experience. I could see the students come alive throughout the program and really open up about their fears and hopes and frustrations. And of course, this was a very interesting year to have this program because at the beginning of the year, there was a lot more optimistic attitude. We thought we were going to be working towards immigration reform nationally. And of course, after the results in the November election, some of our plans and some of our ideas changed. I was actually with the students 2 days after the election. There was just a look of shock and disbelief in a lot of their faces. And then I was also with the students in January, shortly after the inauguration, after Trump had issued these executive orders that were very hostile to immigrant communities, and a lot of the students were in tears, and just you can sense there's a lot of fear. However, also I've seen a lot of resilience that is quite powerful. And so while a lot of this evidence is just my own personal reflections and what I've seen, I'd like to actually further explore this in a research study to see the effectiveness and the impact that this program has had. So my overall goals are to measure the effect of the program, especially when it comes to the areas of self-efficacy, empowerment, and the sense of advocacy and socio-political consciousness, particularly related to the issues of immigration reform and educational access. A secondary goal of the study is to look at how the experience of the program varied by different demographic factors such as gender, legal status, and country of origin. I had a little trouble deciding my exact research design. In some ways this feels like an intervention. However, because there's no control group, it cannot be truly considered in this category. The closest model is probably the parallel conversion design. There will be a pre, mid, and post quantitative test with all the students, which will be on a 5-point Likert type scale. And then for a group of 8 students, I will conduct a focus group and individual interviews both at the beginning, the middle, and end of the program. I'll be using 3 different instruments for the quantitative section. The first is a new self-efficacy scale, which is central to the mission of the Student Dreamers Alliance. The second area looks specifically at the area of impact and the larger construct of empowerment. The original scale looked at the potential of impact in the school setting, but I will be looking at the potential for impact in society overall. And the final section will be self-generated, and we'll look at issues related to advocacy and socio-political awareness, and again with an emphasis on students' identity as immigrants and the role that they serve in the larger issues of immigration, immigrant rights. And I will be conducting a pilot study in order to check for the reliability of this instrument. For the qualitative section, I'll be using a focus group and individual interviews. The 8 students will be selected based on the profile given by their teachers or the program leaders. And I'd like to have a variety of different students involved, some that might be more optimistic, and others who could be more cynical or pessimistic about the future of the country and what they think is going to happen as far as immigrant rights go. I'd like to have some students that are U.S. citizens or residents, some that have DACA status, and maybe some that are undocumented. And the goal of this qualitative section is to look deeper into the why of the responses from the quantitative section. I think it can also give greater feedback on possible lessons learned and maybe what specifically altered their thinking from the different sessions. And it might give more insight on how we could adjust the program in the future. And I think a lot of those elements would be difficult to actually understand from the quantitative section alone. And the qualitative section also gives more room to understand the emotions involved, which again is very hard to really grasp in the quantitative section. So as you can see from this beautiful graphic that I made, this program will follow a convergent design. The quantitative and qualitative data will be collected near the same time but separately. They will also be analyzed separately. For the quantitative section, I will use both descriptive and inferential statistics. Of particular interest will be to see the amount of change between the beginning, middle, and end of the program. But I'll also look at possible differences based on demographic categories. For the qualitative section, I plan to transcribe the data and run a thematic analysis. The data will be merged in the end to look at possible similarities, differences, and hopefully come to a synthesis from the responses. And I have little doubt that this study will show that the program had some impact on the students' thinking and the way that they viewed their role in society and their self-efficacy. I think the more important thing is to see how large that impact was, or how big a difference the program made in these different areas. My ultimate goal is to find ways that this program can be continually improved. This is important since it is a new program and is in a lot of ways really groundbreaking. And I hope if this research is successful that perhaps this program can be used as a model for other programs across the nation. This is the only program of its kind in the state of South Carolina, and it's one of a few programs like this across the nation as far as I know. And so in a lot of ways this is very unique. So I hope that this work doesn't just make an interesting research study, but it can really be part of some larger societal change that these amazing young students can help implement.